Arlington fishermen are celebrating tonight after being plucked to safety when their scallop trawler sank in Bass Strait. The men clung to a lifebuoy for over an hour before another trawler spotted them in the icy waters. Dean Alan Craig spoke with the survivors.
The relief on their faces told the story as the fishermen relived their ordeal.
I said, get the life raft, and from the time we said, get the life raft, 30, it wasn't even a minute, she was upside down and gone.
The 4-hour drama ended as the rescued foursome arrived at Queenscliff, suffering severe hypothermia. Returning laden with scallops, the Gungadin was swamped by waves and sank.
Probably, 6.5 tonne of cargo we're bringing back and probably 10 tonne of water on top of that.
They made a desperate radio call, but moments later were all in the water. The men clung desperately to one life ring. They didn't have time to grab life jackets.
We were just screaming out to it. No, the whole lot of us were hollering.
Cargo ship, the City of Port Melbourne, turned around and began searching for the crew.
The ship's complement, which was mustered to look for survivors, heard people yelling.
The ship's crew spotted the men in the water 10 miles south of the Port Phillip Heads. With the police air wing using their powerful spotlight, the crew of the scallop trawler Pinta came to the rescue.
It was more difficult to pull them out of the water than we really thought, being fully clothed.
Two of the men say they were struggling to stay afloat. They say the crew of the Pinta arrived just in time.
Paulie, he was just sinking, and we just pulled him out by there and chucked him back on the ring, and Bill was holding up doing, otherwise he would have went down too.
In a 2.5 metre swell, water police had to jump across to the Pinta to give first aid.
As our vessel was going down, their vessel was then coming up, and I had to step across.
The trawler lies in 80 metres of water. There will be no salvage attempt. Dean Alan Craig, 7 Nightly News.
This is National 9 News with Joe Hall.
A dramatic nighttime rescue at sea after a Bass Strait sinking. Union officials identified at the head of the Canberra rally violence, and the Blues surge back into premiership contention. Good evening. 4 men have survived a harrowing ordeal clinging to a single lifebuoy in Bass Strait after their scallop boat sank last night. For 2 hours, the fishermen from Port Arlington fought to keep 2 of their mates from drowning before being rescued by another vessel. More from Tom Warland.
The survivors thankful to be alive and together today. The 4, including 2 brothers, were plucked from the rough and icy waters of Bass Strait last night after their scallop boat, Gungadin, sank in 70 metres of water about 20 kilometres off the Heads. The men were saved by another scallop boat, Pinta 3, which raised the alarm after the skipper of Gungadin told him he was being swamped. Moments later, all radio communication was lost.
So that's when we got on the Melbourne radio and told them we had a possible distress.
The Gungadin, carrying a load of scallops, flipped over. 3 scrambled onto the upturned hull before the boat sank within minutes. The men clutched a lifebuoy which had floated free for nearly 2 hours, as a freighter and a pilot boat also raced to the rescue scene, while a police chopper floodlit the area.
When we were all screaming out as the ship went past, and they heard us and they stopped.
2 of the crewmen became delirious and had to be dragged from under the water a number of times by their mates.
I just said, just let me go, I just want to let go, I've had enough, because I was that exhausted.
Once I saw the boat, I thought, that's it, laughing, home. No, I never gave up hope. I knew we'd be rescued.
Police have praised the crews of the vessels taking part in what they say was a remarkable rescue, and without them, the men would have died.
It was just a miracle they bloody found us when they did. Another 20 minutes we would have been down the bottom anyway.
The Gungadin was worth $150,000. It's not known if it can be salvaged. Tom Warland, National 9 News.
For 2 hours when their boat sank. Their 46-foot scallop trawler was 12 nautical miles off Cape Schanck, returning from King Island when it went down in Bass Strait late last night.
We're here, mate. We're here. Loved ones feared they'd never see the captain and crew of Gungadin again.
No, she just went down. Oh, good night to swim.
The 4 men from Port Arlington, south of Geelong, were hospitalised suffering hypothermia after 2 hours swallowing water in icy, heaving seas, clinging to a solitary life ring.
We just kept each other going and pulled Couch out of the water a couple of times, to keep him up. He was going down a couple of times.
At one stage there, I just said to my brother and the captain, I said, I just want to let go, I've had enough. My legs can't kick any further.
Finally safe and dry today, they told how their trawler was swamped by a giant wave. overloaded with a huge haul of scallops on the 16-hour trip home from King Island. There was barely time for a one-word distress call.
She just went down, and about 2 minutes she was down by the time I said the boys get the life raft. In about 30 seconds she was over on its side and upside down going down.
Thank God for the captain just to get a message out, which more or less saved us, I reckon.
When they finally saw hope in an approaching commercial steamer, they were then in danger of being crushed in its path, saved only by their desperate screams.
That's the only time I really bloody panicked, was when the steamer come straight at us.
But Gungadin's owner has lost $200,000 and a $10,000 cargo. The boat he's had for 12 years, buried in metres of water. Ken has lost his livelihood, his trawler on the bottom of the ocean, and any salvage operation prohibitively expensive. But sadly, he's not insured.
It's amazing the four of us still here, that's the main bloody thing.
Bernadette Nunn, 10 News.